The grand chamber of the Galactic Council stretched toward the stars, its crystalline dome refracting light from 3 suns into cascading rainbows. Sarah Chen stood at its center, her small figure dwarfed by the towering amphitheater filled with representatives from over 1,000 worlds. Her fingers moved with practiced precision, folding iridescent paper with Earth's quantum signature embedded in its fibers. "The art of origami," she explained, her voice clear and steady despite the butterflies in her stomach, began on Earth over 2,000 years ago. Each fold represents a wish, a hope, a dream. The paper in her hands took shape, a graceful neck, delicate wings, a proud head. A crane emerged, seeming to come alive under the alien lights. Ambassador Rodriguez, Earth's senior representative, watched from the diplomatic box with barely concealed pride. Selecting Sarah for the youth cultural exchange had been controversial. At 12, she was the youngest ambassador ever to address the council. But her talent for paper folding had already earned her acclaim on Earth, and more importantly, she possessed that rare ability to make others see beauty in simplicity. In the upper tiers, Councillor Vexthor of the Regelian Compact leaned forward, his crystalline appendages catching the light. "Fascinating," he whispered to his aide. "The human child creates art that exists in both 2 and 3 dimensions simultaneously. Perhaps we were too hasty in our judgment of their species." Sarah continued her demonstration, each movement deliberate and flowing. "In Earth's history, there's a legend that if you fold 1,000 paper cranes, your deepest wish will come true." Her hands moved to the next sheet of paper. "My wish is for understanding between our worlds." The chamber's quantum sensors projected her careful movements in massive detail, allowing even the furthest observers to watch as mathematical patterns emerged in the folds. Several scientific delegates began recording frantically. They recognized universal constants, hidden in the seemingly simple art form. But in the shadowed recesses of the diplomatic box, something else was taking shape. Council Security Chief Zarkax watched the girl with growing unease. His species, the Drachnid, had accessed classified files from Earth's pre-spaceflight era. They had seen humanity's capacity for violence, their resourcefulness in warfare, their ability to unite against common threats. This child, with her disarming smile and paper birds, represented everything dangerous about humans, their ability to seem harmless while hiding devastating potential. 50 years of peace, Sarah continued, her crane taking flight in the zero-gravity center of the chamber. That's how long Earth has been part of the galactic community. Each crane I fold today represents one of those years, and our hopes for centuries more. She reached for another sheet of paper, unaware of the targeting systems engaging above her head. In the diplomatic box, Zarkax's hand moved to a concealed panel. The security chief had made his decision. Humanity's potential had to be contained before it was too late. Ambassador Rodriguez noticed the subtle shift in the chamber's energy field a fraction of a second too late. "Sarah," he shouted, lunging forward. But the protective barriers around the diplomatic boxes had already activated, trapping Earth's representatives as they watched in horror. The plasma bolt struck with surgical precision. Sarah's last crane, half-formed, drifted from her fingers as she fell. The paper caught fire, its quantum signature broadcasting the moment across every neural network in known space. For 3 heartbeats, the chamber was absolutely silent. Then chaos erupted. Delegates fled, security forces converged, and emergency protocols engaged. But above it all, Ambassador Rodriguez's anguished scream carried a promise that sent chills through even the most hardened council members. "You fools, you have no idea what you've just awakened." In the confusion, no one noticed the strange harmonics emanating from Sarah's scattered origami cranes. No one saw the quantum patterns in their folds begin to pulse in rhythm with something deep beneath Earth's oceans. And no one realized that the death of one human child had just set in motion events that would reshape the galaxy forever. The dreams began 3 days after Sarah's death. In Tokyo, A 6-year-old boy sleepwalked to his father's tablet and drew intricate patterns in his sleep. In Lagos, twin girls awoke simultaneously, their bedroom walls covered in identical mathematical equations. In Santiago, an entire kindergarten class began humming the same haunting melody during nap time. Dr. Elena Martinez stared at her monitor in the CDC's Emergency Response Center, her coffee long forgotten. "It's spreading," she muttered, adding another pin to the holographic globe. Red dots pulsed across every continent, each representing another child affected by what the media had dubbed the dreaming. "They're all drawing the same structure," her colleague, Dr. Wei, said, projecting a compilation of children's drawings onto the main screen. "But that's impossible. These kids have never met. They're not even watching the same media streams." The structure in question appeared to be underwater, massive in scale, with distinctive geometric patterns that defied conventional architecture. What disturbed Elena most wasn't the uniformity of the drawings. It was the level of detail. Children as young as 4 were producing technical schematics that would challenge master engineers. Her quantum pad chimed. Another report. A 3-year-old in Mumbai had drawn the structure using perfect golden ratios. The child had never taken a math class. Dr. Martinez, an intern, burst into the room, face flushed. "You need to see this. The Navy, they found something." The footage from the Mariana Trench came through on a classified quantum channel. Elena watched as underwater drones illuminated something that shouldn't exist. The structure from the children's drawings rose from the oceanic darkness, its surface untouched by millennia of currents. Admiral Chen, Sarah's grandmother, led the expedition personally. Her voice crackled through the feed. "The readings are off the charts. This facility. It's not just big. It's bigger on the inside than should be physically possible." Elena's hands trembled as she overlaid the children's drawings with the drone footage. The match was perfect. "How long has this been down there?" "Carbon dating is inconsistent," Admiral Chen replied. "Some sections appear to be millions of years old. Others register as future dates." She paused. "There's something else. The entrance. It's responding to human presence." The footage shifted. A massive door, easily large enough to accommodate a carrier fleet, bore markings that seemed to shift and change as they watched. As the drones approached, the symbols began to glow with a soft blue light. "Those markings," Dr. White whispered. "They match Sarah's last origami patterns." Before Elena could respond, her quantum pad erupted with alerts. Around the world, children who had been drawing the structure suddenly stopped. Instead, they began speaking in perfect unison, their voices overlapping across time zones and languages. "The key has been sacrificed. The Guardian sleeps no more. Remember." In the Mariana Trench, the massive door began to move. Admiral Chen's voice shook with emotion. "Emergency protocol initiated. All stations, prepare for." The feed exploded with light. When it stabilized, Elena's heart nearly stopped. The door had opened, revealing a cavern that stretched beyond the reach of the drone's sensors. But it was what floated inside that caused gasps throughout the command center. Ships. Hundreds of them. Each one larger than anything humanity had ever built, their hulls adorned with the same shifting patterns as the door. They hung suspended in some kind of quantum field, untouched by time or decay, waiting. "Ma'am," a technician called out, voice trembling. "We're detecting an energy signature. It's identical to the quantum signature in Sarah's paper cranes." Admiral Chen's response was barely audible. All this time, we thought we were alone in the universe, starting from scratch. But we weren't starting at all, were we? We were remembering." As if in response, the nearest ship's surface rippled, patterns flowing like liquid metal. A message appeared, written in every human language simultaneously. "Welcome home, children of Earth. The Guardian has fallen. The fleet awaits its inheritors." Dr. Martinez looked at her data screens, watching as children around the world finally fell into peaceful sleep, their dreams now quiet. But in their drawings, a new pattern had emerged, not of the underwater structure, but of stars, ships, and a future that had been waiting for humanity to remember its past. Lieutenant Maya Santos stood before the neural interface chamber, her heart thundering against her ribs. She'd been chosen as the first pilot, though chosen wasn't quite the right word. The ship had chosen her, singing to her in dreams until she'd nearly gone mad with its call. Neural sync in 3 minutes, Dr. Wei announced from the control room. Around them, the ancient hangar stretched into darkness, its scales still defying comprehension even after weeks of study. The ship before them, dubbed Dawn's Memory by the research team, hummed with an energy that made Maya's teeth ache. Admiral Chen's voice came through the comm. "Lieutenant, you can still back out. No one would think less of you." Maya touched the interface helmet, its surface rippling like quicksilver under her fingers. "With respect, Admiral, your granddaughter didn't back out when she stood before the council. I won't back out now." Silence. Then, softly, "Proceed." The interface chamber closed around Maya like liquid glass, conforming to her body. The neural gel was cold at first, then warm, then something else entirely. Colors she had no names for blazed across her vision. "Neural sync initiating," Dr. Wei reported. "Consciousness pattern stable." "Wait, there's something." Maya didn't hear the rest. The ship wasn't just interfacing with her mind, it was awakening something within it. Memories that weren't hers flooded her consciousness. She saw Earth, but not her Earth. Earth as it had been millions of years ago, when humanity first reached for the stars. She saw the first fleet, built not for war, but for creation itself. Humanity had been the guardians, the shepherds of younger species, the protectors of worlds too fragile to defend themselves. "Lieutenant, your brainwave patterns are off the charts." Dr. Wei's voice seemed to come from a great distance. "Do you copy?" I remember," Maya whispered. "We all forgot, but the ships remembered for us." Through the ship's consciousness, she saw the truth. Humanity hadn't been sentenced to Earth by some cosmic judgment. They had chosen to forget, to start over, after encountering something so vast and terrible that even their mighty fleet couldn't stop it. But they hadn't just hidden their ships, they had hidden their very nature, locking away the knowledge of what humanity could truly become. "The interface is complete," she heard herself say, though her voice had changed, carrying echoes of countless pilots before her. "Dawn's Memory accepts me as her pilot." The ship's systems came alive, not with lights and sounds, but with pure consciousness. Maya felt she could reach out and touch the fabric of space itself. The weapons weren't weapons at all. They were tools of creation, capable of reshaping matter at its most fundamental level. "My God," Dr. Wei breathed. "The ship, it's not just responding to her, it's evolving with her." Maya opened eyes she hadn't realized she'd closed. The interface chamber had become transparent, offering a view of the hangar. But she saw it now as the ship saw it. Layers of quantum possibilities, threads of probability, the dance of atoms, and the songs of subatomic particles. "I understand now," she said, "why the Council feared us, why that faction killed Sarah. We were never meant to be warriors. We're artists, creators, shapers of reality itself. This fleet, it's not a weapon. It's a brush, and the galaxy is our canvas." Through the ship's senses, she felt other pilots entering their interfaces throughout the hangar. Each connection sent ripples through dimensions she previously couldn't perceive. The ships were awakening, and with them, humanity's true heritage. Admiral Chen's voice cracked with emotion. "What do you see, Lieutenant?" Maya smiled as Dawn's Memory shared one final truth. "Everything, Admiral, and nothing is what we thought. The fleet isn't seeking revenge for Sarah. It's fulfilling her dream, her 1,000 paper cranes, her wish for understanding. But first, The ship's systems pulsed with purpose, and Maya felt her consciousness expand to encompass possibilities that would have driven her mad just minutes before. First, we need to show the Council exactly what they awakened when they killed a child who only wanted to create beauty. In the depths of space, ancient sensors stirred to life, recognizing the awakening of their creators. The game of hide and seek was over. Humanity had finally remembered how to play. For the first time in human history, the United Nations Assembly Hall sat empty. Instead, holographic representations of world leaders filled the space, their forms flickering with quantum uncertainty as Dawn's memory broadcast the secure signal from orbit. Secretary-General Amira Patel stood at the podium, her dark eyes fixed on the latest footage from the fleet's awakening. Every ship now had its pilot, each connection revealing more about humanity's forgotten legacy. The vote before them would determine how that legacy would be used. "We have confirmation," she announced, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "The Galactic Council has rejected our formal request for the extradition of Sarah Chen's killers. They claim diplomatic immunity extends to acts of preventative security." Her lip curled slightly at the words. Maya's hologram stepped forward, her neural interface suit pulsing with patterns that matched Dawn's memory's quantum signature. "They're scared," she said. "And they should be, but not for the reasons they think." The ship's sensors displayed the Council's military buildup. Fleets gathering at strategic points, weapon platforms charging, defense networks activating. All utterly useless against what the ancient ships could do. President Chen, Sarah's uncle, rose from his seat in the Chinese delegation. "Then we show them true power. We have the strength now. We have the right." "No." A quiet voice cut through the rising murmurs. All heads turned to Sarah's mother, Dr. Lisa Chen, standing with the Scientific Advisory Committee. Her eyes were red-rimmed but determined. "That's exactly what they expect. Violence. Revenge. We need to show them what Sarah would have done." Maya nodded, sharing a glance with the other pilots connected to their ships. "The fleet agrees. Dr. Chen, would you share your proposal?" Lisa stepped into the center of the chamber, her hands moving in familiar patterns. A sheet of paper appeared between them, not physical, but a quantum construct visible to all. "My daughter spoke the truth about origami," she said, folding the construct with precise movements. "Each fold is a wish, a hope." But she never got to finish her last crane. The quantum paper took shape, forming a perfect crane that hung suspended in the air. The fleet doesn't just have weapons. It has the power to create, to transform, to heal. Instead of destroying the Council's worlds, she let the crane float to the center of the chamber, where it multiplied into 1,000 identical forms, each one glowing with potential. Maya's interface suit brightened as Dawn's memory processed the suggestion. "We can remind them of who we really are," she finished. "Not through force, but through creation itself." Secretary-General Patel studied the display of force amassing against Earth. "They expect us to attack. Their entire defensive strategy assumes we'll seek revenge." A slow smile spread across her face. "So we do the one thing they cannot prepare for. We create." The vote was unanimous. Hours later, the quantum broadcast reached every corner of known space. The message was simple, a holographic display of Sarah's unfinished crane, suspended above every Council world. Below it, in every known language, a single sentence: "Let us show you what humanity truly is." In her neural chamber aboard Dawn's memory, Maya felt the ship's anticipation building. Around her, the fleet hummed with possibility, their pilots ready. The ships remembered eons of creation, of nurturing civilizations, of healing worlds. Now they would remember together. "All ships, prepare for synchronized jump," she commanded. "Plot coordinates for the Council's most damaged worlds, their failing colonies, their dying stars." She felt the other pilots' acknowledgement through the fleet's shared consciousness. "Let's finish what Sarah started." The ancient ships moved in perfect harmony, their quantum fields rippling with creative potential. They weren't launching an attack. They were beginning a renaissance. In the assembly hall, Dr. Lisa Chen watched through tear-filled eyes as the fleet disappeared in a cascade of light. In her hands, she folded one last paper crane, this one made of ordinary paper. "For you, Sarah," she whispered, "your wish for understanding. It's about to come true." The crane took flight, carrying humanity's future on its wings. HFY was dying. The mining colony's atmosphere had turned toxic centuries ago, its surface scarred by industrial wounds that never healed. The Council had abandoned it, leaving 10,000 colonists to slowly suffocate behind failing barrier shields. That's why Maya chose it as their first target. Dawn's memory emerged from quantum space above the tortured planet, leading a fleet of 12 ships. Through her neural interface, Maya felt the world's pain like a physical ache. The ship's sensors painted a picture of collapse. Failing atmospheric processors, dead soil, poisoned oceans. Multiple Council warships detected, her tactical officer reported. "They're charging weapons." Maya smiled. "Let them." The Council fleet opened fire, their most powerful weapons converging on Dawn's memory. The energy beams struck an invisible field and transformed. Where there had been destroying force, there were now streams of golden light, twisting like ribbons in the wind. "All ships, begin atmospheric reconstruction," Maya commanded. "Show them what these weapons were really made for." The ancient fleet moved in perfect synchronization, their quantum fields extending to embrace the dying world. Through their shared consciousness, Maya felt the other pilots' exhilaration as they accessed the ship's true purpose. The golden ribbons of transformed energy began to dance. Where they touched the toxic atmosphere, molecules rearranged themselves. Poison became breathable air. Acid rain turned to pure water. The ships weren't destroying the pollution. They were remixing reality itself, turning devastation into creation. On the surface, colonist Zaravex watched through her protective mask as the sky changed color. First brown, then gray, then blue. Real blue, like in the ancient pictures. Her environmental sensor beeped insistently. Atmospheric toxicity was dropping at impossible rates. Council command, respond. The enemy admiral's panic carried clearly over the open channels. The human ships, they're changing everything. Maya broadcast on all frequencies. "This is Lieutenant Maya Santos of Dawn's memory. To the people of HFY, you might want to step outside. The weather's about to get much better." The fleet's dance continued. Quantum fields dipped into the dead oceans, restructuring molecules, rewriting chemical bonds. Centuries of industrial poison transformed into nutrients. Deep in the waters, ancient microbial sequences activated, beginning the cycle of life anew. Zara stood in her colony's plaza, surrounded by stunned neighbors, as the protective dome that had sheltered them for generations began to retract. For the first time in living memory, they felt real wind on their faces, clean wind. Through Dawn's memory sensors, Maya watched life readings spike across the planet. Seeds that had lain dormant for centuries awakened in the restored soil. Bacterial cultures essential for a living ecosystem bloomed. The ship's quantum field touched bedrock, and tectonic plates shifted minutely, correcting centuries of mining damage. "Impossible," breathed the Council Admiral. "Our reports said humans were dangerous because they were destroyers. This isn't destruction." "No," Maya agreed softly. "This is who we really are. This is what you feared. Not our capacity for violence, but our power to change reality itself." She paused, letting the transformation below speak for itself. "A child died because you feared what humanity might do. Look closely, Admiral. Look at what we choose to do instead." The Council warships hung motionless as the ancient fleet completed their work. In 6 hours, they had reversed centuries of devastation. HFY's atmosphere was clear, its oceans living, its soil fertile. The colony's barriers were now unnecessary, its people standing in pure sunlight for the first time in generations. As Dawn's memory prepared to depart, Maya received a transmission from the surface. a child's voice, thick with emotion. "Thank you for giving us the Skyvac." Maya touched the neural interface, feeling the ship's satisfaction merge with her own. On her display, she pulled up the coordinates of their next target. Another dying world, another chance to create instead of destroy. "Dawn's memory acknowledges," she replied. "Look up tonight. The stars are just the beginning." The fleet vanished in a quantum flash, leaving behind a restored world and a very shaken council admiral trying to explain to his superiors how the most feared weapons in history had just created paradise. The grand archives of the Galactic Council were burning, not with fire, but with truth. Quantum data cascading through ancient servers as decades of sealed records unlocked themselves. The fleet's presence had triggered something in the archive's deepest protocols, and now history itself was being rewritten. Archivist Prime Catal watched in horror as his carefully maintained lies crumbled. Behind him, Maya Santos and Dawn's memory's quantum projection illuminated the vast chamber, their presence forcing each secret into light. "You knew," Maya said softly. "Your order always knew what humanity really was." Kittel's crystalline form shimmered with distress. "We had to protect the galaxy. You don't understand what your kind is capable of." Through her neural link, Maya accessed the newly revealed records. Images flooded her mind. Earth ships, ancient beyond imagining, seeding life across the galaxy. Humans walking among infant species, guiding, teaching, protecting. Not conquering, creating. "The Awakeners," she breathed. "That's what they called us. We didn't just explore space. We made it livable." Kittel's assistants were frantically trying to contain the data breach, but the truth refused to be caged again. The archive's quantum core pulsed with revelation after revelation. "Your kind didn't just shape worlds," Kittel said bitterly. "You shaped species, civilizations, reality itself. Such power, it's unnatural. When the great catastrophe came, when your ancestors chose to hide their power and restart your civilization, we swore it would never rise again." Dawn's memory's projection shifted, showing the truth of that catastrophe. Not an external threat, as humans had assumed, but a choice. Their ancestors had seen how younger species became dependent on human protection, how it stunted their growth. The choice to forget had been an act of love, giving the galaxy a chance to grow on its own. "Sarah Chen," Maya said, the pieces finally falling into place. She wasn't targeted because she was human. She was targeted because she was about to rediscover our gift naturally. The ability to fold reality like paper, to reshape creation with art. The archive responded to her words, displaying Sarah's final moments from a new angle. The origami cranes she'd folded hadn't been mere paper constructs. They had been keys, each fold a piece of code that would have unlocked humanity's dormant abilities. The dormancy was supposed to be permanent, Kittal whispered. Each generation of humans, we watched for signs of awakening. When they appeared, we intervened. Sarah Chen was the first we couldn't reach in time. Her death should have been the end. But instead, it woke us all up, Maya finished. Not with violence, but with remembrance. With creation. Through her neural link, she felt the fleet's ongoing work. Worlds being healed, stars being stabilized, reality being rewritten with artistry instead of force. Humanity hadn't just been peacekeepers, they had been the galaxy's gardeners, artists, shapers of possibility. Hill sagged, his crystalline form dulling. "What will you do now? Take revenge for millennia of suppression." Maya walked to the archive's central pillar, where a quantum projection of Sarah's final crane still hung in frozen time. With movements that echoed across species and space, she completed the fold Sarah never could. The crane took flight, but it wasn't just a hologram anymore. Reality rippled around it, possibility becoming substance. Where it flew, the archive's harsh lights softened, sterile walls bloomed with living patterns, and the very fabric of space hummed with creative potential. "We'll do what we were born to do," Maya said. What Sarah died trying to show you. We'll create. We'll teach. We'll help all species find their own gifts. She smiled. And this time, we'll do it together. The crane landed on Kettle's crystalline shoulder, its quantum essence merging with his form. For the first time in his long existence, the Archivist Prime saw the universe as humans did, not as something to be controlled, but as an endless canvas of possibility. Behind them, the archive continued its revelation, each truth another step toward a future where humanity's greatest power wasn't the ability to destroy or dominate, but to transform fear into wonder, endings into beginnings, and possibility into reality. The Council conspirators' hidden base emerged from quantum darkness like a wound in space, a massive station orbiting a collapsed star. The ancient fleet surrounded it in a perfect sphere, Dawn's memory at the vanguard. Inside her neural chamber, Maya felt the ship's power thrumming through her consciousness, enough energy at her command to unravel the station's very atoms. But this moment wasn't hers. In Dawn's Memories Command Center, Dr. Lisa Chen stood with her husband, Michael, their hands clasped as they stared at the station's image. The parents of the child whose death had awakened humanity's true nature. "We've confirmed all 12 conspirators are aboard," Maya reported softly, including Security Chief Zarkax. Through the ship's sensors, they watched the Drachnid Security Chief pace in his quarters, mandibles clicking with anxiety. The being who had given the order to fire, who had decided a child's art was too dangerous to exist. "The Council has officially withdrawn their protection," Admiral Chen added from her position by the tactical display. "The conspirators' fate is in your hands, as Earth's designated representatives of justice." The unspoken weight of vengeance hung in the air. Lisa stepped forward, her fingers moving in the familiar patterns of origami. But instead of paper, she folded quantum energy itself, something that should have been impossible for a non-pilot. The fleet's awakening had stirred something in all humanity, rekindling ancient abilities. "Show me their world," she said. Dawn's memory sensors penetrated the station's shields, revealing the conspirators' hidden sanctuary. What they found stunned them all into silence. The station's interior was filled with art. Not trophies or stolen works, but pieces created by the conspirators themselves. Paintings of worlds that never were, sculptures of impossible life forms, and most surprisingly, origami. Thousands of paper constructs, folded with trembling claws and tentacles and crystalline appendages. "They were trying to understand," Michael whispered. "All this time, they were trying to understand what they feared." Through the neural link, Maya accessed the station's records. They'd been studying every piece of human art they could find, trying to replicate it, trying to prove to themselves they could create like we do. She paused. They failed over and over, and the fear of that failure made them kill our daughter. Lisa finished. Her quantum origami crane hung suspended before her, waiting for the final fold that would signal the fleet to act. The command center fell silent. Everyone knew what the ancient ships could do. They could transform the station into stardust, or worse. They could remove the conspirators from history itself, rewrite reality so they had never existed. Lisa's hands trembled on the final fold. Through the sensors, they watched Zarkax approach a table in his quarters. On it sat an unfinished paper crane, its folds clumsy but determined. As they watched, he picked up the paper with shaking claws and tried again to create what Sarah had made look so effortless. Lisa's crane began to glow. "Wait," she said, her voice thick with tears. "I know what Sarah would do." The quantum crane in her hands completed its final fold, but not in destruction. Instead, it multiplied, becoming 1,000 points of light that streamed toward the station. Where they passed through the hull, they left creation in their wake. The conspirators' art began to change. Paint became living color, sculptures breathed, and their origami took flight. "You wanted to understand creation," Lisa broadcast on all frequencies, "so let us teach you. Not as conquerors, not as vengeful gods, but as artists." as teachers, as the guardians we were always meant to be. Through Dawn's memory sensors, they watched the conspirators fall to their knees as their crude attempts at art transformed into living wonders. Zarkax's unfinished crane folded itself complete in his claws, then flew to join its quantum siblings in a dance of possibility. "This is justice," Michael said softly. "Not destruction, not vengeance, but understanding, creation, life." The fleet began to move, not to attack, but to embrace. The station's dark orbit blazed with new light as humanity's greatest power transformed fear into wonder, hatred into harmony, and endings into brilliant, beautiful beginnings. 1 year after Sarah Chen folded her last crane, the great hall of the reformed Galactic Council hummed with possibility. The crystalline dome had been transformed, its surface now a living quantum matrix where art from 1,000 species danced in endless patterns. At its center, a new kind of classroom was about to open its doors. Maya Santos stood before them, no longer in her neural interface suit, but wearing a simple teacher's robe. Dawn's memory hung in orbit above, its presence a reminder of humanity's power, and their choice of how to use it. "The Galactic Youth Art Academy," she announced, "is now open to all species, all worlds, all forms of creation." The chamber erupted in a cascade of color as the first students entered. Children from across the galaxy, some floating, some crawling, some shifting through quantum states. Among them walked human children, their hands already moving in the patterns of reality-shaping art that had once been forbidden. In the front row, Zarkax sat with his own children, their claws carefully holding sheets of paper. The former security chief had been the first to volunteer his family for the program. His redemption had inspired others among the conspirators to become teachers themselves, turning their understanding of fear into lessons about courage. "Today," Maya continued, "we share not just art, but truth. Humanity's gift was never meant to be ours alone. Every species has the potential to shape reality. We were simply the first to awaken to it." Through the quantum matrix, images flowed. The fleet's work over the past year. Dead worlds reborn. Dying stars stabilized. Broken civilizations healing. But more importantly, they showed the moments of teaching, of sharing, of watching other species discover their own gifts of creation. Lisa and Michael Chen stepped forward, carrying a quantum construct that pulsed with familiar energy. "In honor of our daughter," Lisa said, her voice strong, "we present the Sarah Chen Memorial Gallery." The construct unfolded like an infinite origami crane, revealing a space that existed somewhere between reality and dreams. Inside, art from every known species merged and flowed together. At its heart, Sarah's unfinished crane had become a living fountain of possibility, each drop sparking new creations where it fell. "The galaxy feared us because they thought our power could only destroy," Michael added. "Sarah showed them, showed all of us, that the greatest power lies in teaching others to create." Admiral Chen, now the Earth representative to the Reformed Council, stood to make the final announcement. "The ancient fleet will remain as guardians, yes, but their primary mission now is to seek out new species, new worlds, new forms of creativity we haven't yet imagined. We protect not through force, but through inspiration." Maya watched as a young Drachnid girl approached Sarah's memorial crane. In her claws, she held her own paper creation. With trembling care, she placed it beside the quantum fountain. The two pieces of art, one physical, one energy, resonated together, creating a new pattern that rippled through the gallery. "That," Maya said softly, "is how we change the universe, not alone, but together. Not through fear, but through wonder." Around them, the first class of the Galactic Youth Art Academy began to create. Human children taught alien friends the basics of origami. Crystalline beings shared their songs of molecular harmony. Energy beings demonstrated how to paint with starlight. In orbit, Dawn's memory and the ancient fleet maintained their watch, but their quantum fields now hummed with art instead of armaments. They had become not just guardians but galleries, libraries, museums, living repositories of creativity from across space and time. And in the heart of the new council chamber, where violence had once taken a child's life, 1,000 paper cranes took flight. They soared through the quantum matrix, each one carrying a different species' dreams, each one a promise that the future would be drawn not in lines of power, but in strokes of beauty. Sarah Chen's final wish had come true, though not in the way anyone could have imagined. Understanding had bloomed not from fear, not from force, but from the simple, profound truth she had tried to share, that the greatest power in the universe was the ability to create something beautiful and teach others to do the same.